What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with AltCoin Buzz. So Charles Hoskinson from Cardano has just tweeted out an announcement from the SEC, and we're going to go ahead and examine that. We retweeted it on our Twitter here, but before we get into that, I also put a link, or I just started my own personal Twitter, Blockchain Jay. That's what I'm calling it. So I'm not changing the name. I'm already sticking with it, so whatever. So just the way it's going to go. But you can follow me on there. If you need to get a hold of me personally, that's where it's at. AltCoin Buzz as a channel is I'm still going to be with AltCoin Buzz here, but I'm just soft forking or hard forking, whatever you want to call it, or a fork to Blockchain Jay, the individual, because we're bringing on a lot more people to this team here. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive in here to this Charles Hoskinson tweet. He's IOHK underscore Charles from Cardano. And it's the SEC. He says, this is basically the SEC saying that the hammer is coming and warning in the clearest language possible to get out of the way. Well, Charles, tell us how you really feel, man. He's like really, you can tell he's got some irritation with some of the stuff that he's been seeing going on. And U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. So this is the SEC. If you ever hear the term SEC, now you know, Securities Exchange Commission. So this comes from Chairman Jay Clayton, opening remarks at the Securities Regulation Institute. Go with a brief rundown. So this was a video conference with Meredith Cross, prepared some questions, and here's some expectations for professionals. My first message is simple and a bit stern. Market professionals, especially gatekeepers, need to act responsibly and hold themselves to high standards. To be blunt, from what I have seen recently, particularly in initial coin offering, that's the ICO space, they can do better. Our securities laws and 80 plus years of practice assume that securities lawyers, accountants, underwriters, and dealers will act responsibly. It is expected that they will bring expertise, judgment, and a healthy dose of skepticism to their work. Said another way, even when the issue presented is narrow, market professionals are relied upon to bring knowledge of their broad legal framework according to accounting rules and the markets to bear. So you can see he's kind of outlining his expectations for people who are a part of the ICO framework, whether it be maybe even the company that's doing the ICO or the next step above them, as they call them, the gatekeepers, right? Legal advice, or in the cases I will cite, the lack thereof surrounding ICOs helps illustrate this point. Let me pose it a few scenarios. First, and most disturbing to me, there are ICOs where the lawyers involved appear to be, on the one hand, assisting promoters in structuring offerings of products that have many of the key features of a securities offering, but call it an ICO, which sounds pretty close to an IPO. On the other hand, those lawyers claim the products are not securities and the promoters proceed without compliance with securities laws, which deprives investors of the substantive, oh my goodness, and procedural investor protection requirements of our security laws. Second are ICOs, where the lawyers appear to have taken a step back from the key issues. So you can go through here. I posted this link on our Twitter if you want to read this from the SEC, basically, right? You can see where he talks about the Dodd-Frank mandate. What I took away in skim reading this, here I'll read the closing. In closing, I cannot overstate the importance of the role of those who provide legal advice and other professional services in our markets. Securities, lawyers, and other market professionals play a fundamental role in protecting American investors, and the thorough provision of your services is essential to the operation of fair, orderly, and efficient U.S. markets. And with respect to outstanding Dodd-Frank rulemakings, let me assure you that the SEC is actively looking for ways to navigate the clear challenges presented and satisfy the statutory mandates. Now, first and foremost, AltCoin Buzz, we are not professionals, okay? So they're giving a shout out to professionals. We don't have any certificate or any documentation that states that we're certified professionals. So that's just a full disclaimer out there. So when you listen to stuff on our channel. We're not professional advice, okay? So don't take it as professional advice, meaning you have to do your own research. But if you're listening to us for opinion and for the intellectual debate discussion that goes on with that, that's your choice about financial conversations. Okay, so he's talking about the professionals in this field, legal and financial. With that being said, I took away from this that the SEC is open to cryptocurrency and ICOs, but the discussion about regulation is coming, and it looks like there is going to be a regulatory oversight. That's coming based on you guys asking for it because you're concerned about scams and pump and dumps and all this stuff that you guys don't like. So when you're complaining about that stuff, you're basically calling the government to come in, and they're listening to you guys. So you guys have invited the government in. All of us as a whole have invited the government to come in and oversee this. And that's kind of like, well, if as a society or as a culture we can't play nice, then we need security, we need police, and we need government to oversee all of us on the playground, right? So sure, decentralization sounds good. Anarchy, if you want to call it that, or whatever you like to call it, where there's lack of government rule. When you complain about something and you ask the government to come in, you're the one who's summoning that. You're calling on that, okay? So just be aware, if you really want decentralized, but you're calling for the government, you can't have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't work both ways. So for me, I guess the way I'm approaching this, I think it's good that there's going to be some regulation. Obviously, I don't like over-regulation. I'm anti-over-regulation. I guess the best way that I could put it is like Reagan said, Ronald Reagan. He said, the government is not the solution. Government is the problem, or something along those lines, right? He said government is not the solution. But I think there should be some regulation. That's coming from a former president who said that, so I'm not, obviously he was part of the government, but for him to say that lets you know that he thinks big government is not a good thing. And we'll see where this ends up going, but this came from Jay Clayton, the chairman of the SEC. He said these opinions don't, my words are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of my fellow commissioners or the SEC staff. So let's take a look at some of the problems with ICOs as we've seen it here recently. Okay, so you've had celebrities talk about coins and ICOs, which is something that people have discussed. ICO regulation inconsistent as cryptocurrency bubble fears. That was written on November 23rd, 2017. How the market has changed since then, right? And then if you look at this, you have the perceived problem with ICOs. One of the problems that many countries have with ICOs is that technically they represent a regulatory workaround. The idea behind ICOs is that instead of seeking an initial public offering, businesses can seek low amount seed funding without the due diligence, regulatory requirements, time, or fiduciary permissions a traditional IPO would require. For a small business dealing with untested or unknown technologies, this peer-based alternative offers funding opportunities to business otherwise ineligible for traditional funding approaches. This approach, however, can be rife with fraud. China and South Korea both claim that the possibilities of scammers using ICOs to defraud investors is the primary reason they have moved to ban the creation or selling of them in their countries. So if you're going to participate in ICOs, make sure you do the best job you can to clear it as a strong investment, right? That's why a lot of actually ICOs are not even available in the United States. So just putting that out there, right? And here you go. You got the word pump and dump, right? This approach, let's see. The SEC has issued an alert indicating the public companies may be engaging in pump and dump schemes to manipulate their market prices. See, this stuff, I mean, as I've said many times, I'm in it with you guys. I'm in the boat with you guys. I'm not a part of these elaborate schemes of pump and dump, and I actually have never been. I've had people like comment on our Twitter about following their pump and dump groups or whatever, but I've never actually sat in on a pump and dump forum or anything like that. I have talked about coins, and I did notice the price goes up, but I don't actively encourage pumping and dumping. If we talk about a coin and it goes up, like syndicator is going up right now, I still hold on my syndicator. Although I would say that to you guys who do hold syndicator, especially if you got in at 7 cents, and this isn't me trying to tell anyone to dump, but I mean this, if you got in at 7 cents or 4 cents or anything like that down here, being at 32 cents, you might consider consolidating some of your position for profit. So I have not yet. I'll probably just hold my syndicator for the long haul or a little bit longer. But, you know, at this range here, you might consider taking profit on your syndicator. Just putting that out there. Because the longer you hold on to it, the more you put yourself in the predicament where it goes up here, it peaks, and then it pulls back. And I'd like to see, at least, whether I take profit on it or not, I'd at least like to see some of you guys take profit on it. Or you can just be like me and hold. That's just me talking. However, I wouldn't say that it would be a bad idea to take profit. Okay. Now there is some news that's driving this. It's called the Palm Beach Forum. So just check that out. Some Palm Beach news or something's driving the price of this. This has nothing to do with AltCoin Buzz. We were talking about syndicator around this range or something. In a couple of our videos because we like the tech. But anyway, let's stick to the SEC government comments here. You can see the ICO perceived problem with embracing the future. However, there are also nations that are seeking regulations to protect ICOs. So now there's some countries that are saying, hey, well, let's also get some protection for these guys, these companies that are looking to do crowdfunding. So a lot to keep in mind here. Oh, if you're trying to, so follow us on Twitter, and you can check me out, Blockchain Jay. I just started this. Let's see how many likes I got, or follows. Let's see what we got. 128 followers. So, when do y'all think this market will start to pick up? 49% of you said February. We're in January right now, so I didn't give that. I did put any day now, so I guess that would mean January, right? But 24% said, who the F knows anymore? Like, that's kind of where we're all at. Is like, do we really even know? You know, and I'm not saying that I'm taking a lazy approach as in not trying to project or understand it, but, you know, it's really difficult to get the finger on the pulse when it's when there's so many variables at play here. It's another guy that I'm probably going to follow. This is the guy who claims to be Satoshi. This is a new profile. I still got to get up my following, or who people I'm following. But yeah, if you need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me here. But check us out on AltCoin Buzz on Twitter also. We'll see you guys later. Let me know what you guys think of this SEC crackdown. Do you think it's good for the regulations to finally start coming in, getting the regulatory oversights? Let me know in the comments. And I look forward to hearing from you guys about this. Thank you to everyone who's been liking these videos, showing the support as we all go through this together.